Hao textbook, Lesson 2, Characters. The first radical in this lesson is the baby radical, 字. It's a picture of a baby. The top is the baby's head. Then you have the baby's legs wrapped in a swaddling cloth or diaper. And then it shows the baby's arms. Here is the stroke order for baby, along with an illustration of the baby radical. Head, body, arms. The next radical is the door radical. The animation is shown on the right. The animation starts by writing the hinge, the left wall, and the door. I usually draw the left wall first, then the hinge, then the door. It's up to you. Hinge, left wall, door. The next radical is the small radical, 小, here indicated by a little bird. To draw it, you draw a person with their legs together and their arms down, making themselves small. Again, a person with their feet together and their arms down. The first character you have to trace for this lesson is the character 你 for you. Notice it has the person radical in blue and it has the 小 little radical underneath it, because everyone's smaller than you, or you short. Above the 小 for small, there is a modified knife radical that looks like a little umbrella. Here's an illustration my student did of the character 你 with two football players, one with the person radical and the other doing the football butt pat, saying, "Good job, you did it." The next character is 好, good, represented by a woman and baby together, because that means the baby is with its mother, and that's the best place for the baby to be, the safest place. It's good. Together, those two characters make 你好, hello. The next character is 我, I. It is a combination of two radicals, the red radical, hand, and the blue radical, spear. When Chinese characters were invented 3,000 years ago, Chinese was very martial or warlike, and so to express myself, me, I, it was a hand on a spear. To help you visualize this character, here is an illustration done by a former student of mine. Notice how the upturns at the end of each stroke at the very bottom she has turned into 2 feet, and the 2 sideways strokes in the middle have turned into the bottom of his shorts. Here's another way to visualize the character 我. This line is the arms. Here's the left side of the body and the right side. The man's feet are turned out like a ballerina. Then he has a French hat on, a beret. And then we have the 2 short lines, indicating where his shorts end. Finally, and most importantly, we have the dot. I think the dot is most important because the dot represents the think bubble. 我 think, therefore 我 am. The dot is also important because without that dot, it starts to look like a different character, 找. Using this concept of 我, the correct stroke order would be hat, arms, left side of the body, upturned foot, left side of the shorts, right side of the body, upturned foot, right shorts, and the think bubble. Now 我 is one character that I'll accept that you write in cursive rather than in print, because this is one character where the cursive is actually easier than the print. I'll show you the cursive now. That's what it looks like in cursive, complete. To write it, you start by drawing a less than sign with a large underbite. That is a combination of the hat and arms. Next, you make a cursive J coming out of the hat. Next, you draw a sloppy 6, and finally, the think bubble. Again, that was a less than with an underbite, a cursive J. Let's break it down into parts. A less than with an underbite, a cursive J, a sloppy 6, and the think bubble dot. The next character you need to trace is 是, is, to be. It's a picture of someone pointing directly at the sun at noon. Notice how it looks like the foot radical, but is different from the foot radical. The head is not connected to the body, and there are two sets of arms. Here is the stroke order for 是. Here is an illustration a past student has done for 是, as a person running a race. Is he going to finish? 是 he will. Now that you know these characters, you can read this sentence from our textbook. 我是蓝蓝. The next character is 他, he. The right-hand side has a fishing pole, a line, and a big L, like the pool where the fish are. So you draw the person radical, what looks to me like a fishing pole with a hook, a line through it, and a big L, like a fish pool. Here, one of my students has illustrated my concept of 他 as a man with a fishing pole fishing in a fishing pool. Now you can read this page from our textbook. 我是李兰兰，他是白大为. The last character you need to know for this lesson is 们. 们 makes things plural. It's a combination of the person radical and the door radical. So 我, I, becomes 我们, we. 你, you, becomes 你们, y'all. 他, he, becomes 他们, they. And 同学, classmate, becomes 同学们, classmates. While you don't need to know this character, it will be helpful to you in the future. Li, the surname Plum, is written with a combination of the tree radical and the child radical, because plums are sweet and it would entice children to climb the tree to get the plums.